You think people respect you based on what you say. You think the right words, the right post, the right achievement will finally make them see you. But the truth is, people were never listening to your words. They were watching something much smaller, much quieter, something you've been doing wrong your entire adult life without even knowing it. And it's costing you more than you realize. It's costing you opportunities you never even heard about. It's costing you relationships that closed their doors before you ever got a chance to knock. It's costing you respect in rooms you didn't know you were already being judged in. Because there is a small action, a single, simple, almost invisible action that completely changes how people perceive you the moment you start doing it. And almost no one does it. That's why this works. That's why this matters. That's why I'm about to tell you something that, if you actually apply it, will quietly rearrange your entire life within 30 days. But before I do, listen to me. If you're the kind of man who is tired of being underestimated, tired of being talked over, tired of walking into rooms and feeling invisible to people who should be paying attention, hit that subscribe button right now. Not for me, for you. Because you don't need more motivation. You need reminders. You need someone to say the truth in your ear when the world keeps trying to convince you that being soft, being scattered, being small is somehow normal. Subscribe. Stay close. And let the next time you forget who you are be the last time. Now, here's what it really means when we talk about how you're perceived. Perception is not a costume. Perception is not a personality. Perception is not the filter you put on your photos or the captions you write under them. Perception is the energy other people feel before you ever open your mouth. It's the way you walk in. It's the way you sit down. It's the way you handle silence. It's the way you respond when someone challenges you. It's the way your eyes move when you're being spoken to. And out of all of those things, there is one small action that towers above the rest. One micro behavior that quietly tells the entire room who you are. Are you ready for it? You pause before you speak. That's it. That's the action. A small, deliberate, controlled pause before you respond. Not a long one. Not a dramatic one. Just a breath. Just a beat. Just a moment of stillness between what was said to you and what you choose to say back. And I know right now part of you is thinking, that's it. That's the secret? That's what you made me sit here for? Yes. Because the things that change your life are almost never loud. They're almost never expensive. They're almost never complicated. They're small. They're repeatable. They're free. And they're the exact things most people refuse to do because they look too simple to matter. Let me tell you why this one action changes everything. Because the moment you pause, you stop being reactive. And the moment you stop being reactive, you stop being predictable. And the moment you stop being predictable, people stop being able to control you. That's called presence. That's called composure. That's called self-possession. And it is the rarest currency in the modern world. Look around. Everyone is reacting. Everyone is rushing. Everyone is interrupting. Everyone is finishing other people's sentences. Everyone is firing off responses before the question has even fully landed. Everyone is leaking energy through their mouth the second they feel uncomfortable. And in the middle of all that noise, the man who pauses, who breathes, who waits, who chooses his words like they actually cost something, becomes the most magnetic person in the room. Not because he's the loudest, but because he's the most still. Here's the misconception you've been carrying. You've been told that being quick equals being smart. You've been told that having a snappy comeback makes you sharp. You've been told that filling every silence makes you confident. So you trained yourself to respond fast, to always have something to say, to never let a quiet moment sit. And every time you did that, you taught the room something about you. You taught them you're nervous. You taught them you need approval. You taught them your words come from your anxiety, not your authority. Here's the hard truth. Fast talkers are not perceived as confident. They are perceived as unsure. They are perceived as people who are trying to convince. People who pause are perceived as people who already know. There's a massive difference between a man who is talking to be heard and a man who is talking because he has something to say. And the only visible difference between those two men, the only signal the world uses to tell them apart, is the pause. Why does this happen? Why does something so small carry so much weight? Because the human nervous system is always scanning for threat and value. Always, whether you know it or not. When someone talks to you, your brain is reading their body, their breath, their eyes, their pace, looking for one answer. Is this person grounded or is this person leaking? A grounded person is safe. A grounded person is high status. A grounded person is someone you want to listen to, follow, hire, date, befriend, trust. A leaking person, a person who can't hold a single moment of silence, a person whose words tumble out before they've even thought them, a person who fills every gap with and like and nervous laughter. That person registers as low status. Not because they are, but because their nervous system told the room they are. The pause is the signal. The pause is the proof. The pause is the small, almost invisible behavior that tells everyone watching this man is not afraid of silence, so he's probably not afraid of much. Read that again. The man who is not afraid of silence is not afraid of much. Because silence is where most people break. Silence is where most people start filling space, apologizing, explaining, rambling, justifying. Silence is where weakness leaks out. And the man who can sit calmly in silence even for 2 seconds, even for 3, has already shown the room a level of self-control that 90% of people can't access on their best day. Now let's talk about what this has been costing you, because I don't want you to leave this with a cute tip. I want you to leave this understanding the bill you've been paying without knowing it. It's cost you negotiations. Every time you answered a price too fast, you lost money. Every time you responded to an offer before you let it breathe, you signaled desperation, and desperation gets discounted. It's cost you respect at work. Every time you jumped in to defend yourself in a meeting, you confirmed the very weakness someone was testing you for. It's cost you with women. Every time you fired back a clever line instead of holding a calm gaze, you traded gravity for entertainment, and gravity is what they actually feel. It's cost you in conflict. Every time you escalated because someone pushed your button, you handed them the remote control to your nervous system. It's cost you in friendships. Every time you over-explained yourself, you taught people that your boundaries are negotiable because real boundaries don't need a paragraph. It's cost you in leadership. Every time you talked over your own silence, you trained the people around you to stop taking your pauses seriously because you never let them mean anything. This is the cost. This is the real bill. And the worst part is nobody ever sent you the invoice. They just quietly moved on, hired someone else, promoted someone else, married someone else, trusted someone else. And you were left wondering why, when on paper, you were just as qualified. The paper was never the problem. The pause was. So let's reframe this. Because I'm not here to make you feel bad about who you've been. I'm here to wake you up to who you're about to become. The pause is not a trick. The pause is not a performance. The pause is not something you do to manipulate people. The pause is something you do to reclaim yourself. Every time you pause before you speak, you are taking your power back from the impulse that has been running your life. You are telling your nervous system, I am in charge here. You are telling your ego, sit down. You are telling the room, I move on my time, not yours. That's self-reclamation. That's the doorway. A single breath between stimulus and response. That's where free men live. That's where grounded men operate. That's where the version of you that you keep promising to become has been waiting this entire time. Not in some big breakthrough, not in some massive life change, in a breath, in a beat, in a pause. Now let me show you the man who lives in that pause. Picture him. He walks into a room and doesn't announce himself. He doesn't need to. His silence does it for him. Someone asks him a question, and instead of rushing to answer, he holds the question for a second, lets it settle, and then speaks. And when he speaks, people lean in, not because he's loud, because he's deliberate. Every word sounds chosen. Every sentence sounds owned. Nothing about him feels rushed because nothing about him is rushed. He's not performing. He's present. He gets challenged in a meeting and he doesn't flinch. He pauses. He looks at the person. He thinks. And when he responds, it lands like a verdict, not a defense. He gets tested by a woman and he doesn't scramble to prove himself. He pauses. He smiles. He answers from a place she can feel was not rehearsed and not desperate. He gets pressured to make a decision and he doesn't cave to the urgency. He pauses. He says, let me think about that. And in that one sentence, he separates himself from every other man who would have said yes just to keep the peace. This man has boundaries you can feel without him having to list them. This man has purpose you can feel without him having to brag about it. This man has self-respect you can feel without him having to demand it. And the small, daily, almost invisible source of all of that is the pause. The pause is the spine. The pause is the proof. The pause is what tells the world that this man does not live at the mercy of his own reactions. That man is not a fantasy. That man is not some character in a movie. That man is you the moment you decide. Because here's the beautiful part. You don't have to earn this. You don't have to study for it. You don't have to wait until you're older, richer, taller, smarter. You can install this in your life the second you finish this video. The pause is free. The pause is portable. The pause works at the dinner table, in the boardroom, in the bedroom, in the gym, in the group chat, in the argument with your father, in the conversation with your boss, in the moment your child is testing your patience. Everywhere, all the time, forever. So here's what you do. Starting today, you stop rushing. You stop interrupting. You stop finishing other people's sentences to prove you understand. You stop blurting out your opinion before the other person has even finished theirs. You stop firing back at every comment, every text, every email, like your life depends on your response time. You stop confusing speed with intelligence. You start breathing 1 breath, 1 second, sometimes 2, between what was said to you and what you say back. That's it. That's the entire practice. You let the moment exist. You let the words land. You let your real answer rise up instead of letting your reaction spill out. You start watching your eyes. When someone speaks to you, you don't look away to think of your reply while they're still talking. You hold the gaze. You actually listen. Because the pause is not just in your mouth. The pause is in your attention. The pause is in your willingness to fully receive what someone is saying before you start preparing what you're going to say. You start guarding your words. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for things that don't require an apology. You stop filling silence with filler. You start treating your voice like it's expensive. Because it is. Every time you speak, you spend something. Make sure what you say is worth what it costs you. You start practicing in low-stakes moments first. The coffee shop, the grocery store, the casual conversation. Pause before you order. Pause before you answer, "How are you?" Pause before you respond to a text. Train this in calm waters so it's automatic when the storms come. Because the storms will come. The pressure will come. The provocation will come. And the man who has practiced the pause in peace is the man who keeps it in chaos. And then you watch. You watch what changes. You watch how people start treating you differently within days. You watch how your boss listens a little longer. You watch how your partner softens a little quicker. You watch how strangers give you a little more room. You watch how negotiations swing your way. You watch how people stop interrupting you because they can feel you're no longer in a hurry to be heard. You watch how arguments de-escalate around you because you stopped feeding them with reaction. You watch how your own mind quiets down because you stopped training it to live on edge. This is not magic. This is biology. This is psychology. This is the oldest game in human interaction. The composed man is the credible man. The credible man is the trusted man. The trusted man is the chosen man. And it all starts with a pause so small that nobody around you can even name what changed about you. They just know something did. They'll say you seem different. You seem calmer. You seem stronger. You seem more sure of yourself. They won't know it's the pause. They'll just feel it. But here's the part I have to be honest about. This is going to feel uncomfortable at first. Because your whole life, your nervous system has been rewarded for being fast, for being agreeable, for being quick on your feet, for never letting a moment of silence exist. And now I'm asking you to stand inside that silence on purpose. You're going to feel awkward. You're going to feel like you're being weird. You're going to feel the urge to fill the space, to soften the moment, to laugh nervously, to say something, anything, just to make it normal again. Don't sit in it. Breathe through it. Let it be awkward. Because the awkwardness is just the old you dying. The awkwardness is just the version of you that lived for approval losing its grip. Let him go. Because on the other side of that discomfort is a man who doesn't need to win every conversation because he already won the war inside himself. A man whose presence does more work than his words ever could. A man who walks into rooms and shifts the temperature without saying a thing. A man who is perceived as powerful not because he tries to be, but because he stopped trying altogether and finally just became himself. That's you. That's who this is for. That's who this has always been for. So hear me. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not less than the people who seem to have it all figured out. You have just been moving too fast to let the real you catch up. Slow down. Breathe. Pause. And let the man underneath all that noise finally walk into the room. You are the answer, not the next book, not the next course, not the next mentor, not the next version of yourself you keep promising will show up someday. You, right now. The you that exists in the space between what you hear and what you say. That you is the man everyone has been waiting to meet. That you is the man you have been waiting to become. And he was never far away. He was just one breath behind your mouth. If this woke something up in you, if you can feel the shift already happening just from hearing it, then do this one thing before you go. Subscribe. Stay. Because there is more truth coming. More small actions with huge consequences. More of the conversations nobody had with you when you needed them most. This channel is not here to entertain you. It is here to sharpen you. Every video is another quiet weapon, another mirror, another reminder of the man you are built to be. And you are not alone in this. There are men all over the world right now, in their cars, in their kitchens, on their lunch breaks, lying awake in the dark, hearing these exact words, feeling exactly what you're feeling, deciding exactly what you're deciding. You belong with us. You belong in this brotherhood of men who are done leaking, done rushing, done performing, and finally ready to stand still long enough to be respected. Welcome home. Now take that breath, hold that pause, and let the world meet the version of you that has been waiting your whole life to arrive.